I'm so ready. I opened the thing and it said recording in process. So apparently I'm already going. Um, I'm not live yet, but good old YouTubers are gonna get the full thing. That was awesome, wasn't it? Yeah, we had to like increase the room size, and we had already increased it anyways, technical difficulties, but all the same, I'm excited for tomorrow. I just barely did a video just now about what day one was about, because there's other people that are joining for day two. So yeah, I'm gonna send you a link if you don't have it already. Oh, I see you. Okay, bye. Oh, my audio is muted. Okay, I can hear you now. Can you hear me? Nope, you're muted. Where is my thing? You're still muted. I can't hear anything you're saying.
Oh, sorry. That's okay. I'm back.
Okay, you're good.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. All right.
Hey, I was going to ask you, do you want me to go over some of the interest rate situation, what's going on lately?
Oh yeah. I
got a graph and everything.
From a lender saying that, what was she saying? That loan limits are going up as well now.
Yeah, it just came out yesterday. So
Yeah.
They're going from 548,250 to 647,200.
What's the difference there? My brain's too slow.
It's $100,000 higher than it was last year.
Is that a lot? That seems like a lot.
I think it's stupid. Well, that's the appreciation, 20%.
Okay.
18%. And then FHA loan limits have gone up too. They're going up. Utah County's 439 to like 502. And Salt Lake County is really close to that.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about that too.
So the conventional loan limits are effective right now. We can do that right now, but FHA you can't do it until January.
Okay. Well, that's right around the corner. Let's see. I am trying to go live to Facebook. So we're doing, what are we doing? Cost of waiting.
Cost of waiting, yeah. So I got the cost of waiting flyer, and then I've got, if I didn't shut it down, oh, you piece of, no, that's me. Okay, we're good. We're good. I've got them under control.
Okay, good. Keep it there. Okay, I got it. We're going. Ready? I hit the button. It's funny because I will take the recording and I'll put this on YouTube. Yeah. And then before it's just Facebook Live. So the past 2 minutes of chaos and phone calls. Everyone in YouTube gets to see it.
Knock out the chaos.
Okay, we did it. I also said the team, so this is new and exciting. Brick by Brick Real Estate has recently opened 10 different regions in the state of Utah, which is really exciting. And we have region leaders for each of those new territory areas that are going to be joining us and talking about their market, their areas. So this is still very new. I've shared the invitation for anyone of those region leaders if they'd like to join us today, but I'm excited to see how that evolves. But for now, you're just stuck with me. My name's Tanisha. I'm with Brick by Brick Real Estate.
The BBB stands for is blah, 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 actually. A lot of people don't know that.
I just got back from the dentist. And so I'm trying really hard to like pronunciate things. Oh yeah, Liz is here. But like, I can't feel half of my face. So it's just kind of a hot mess.
That's good.
But yeah, so we're here. We've got Brian here. He's with Security National. We are going over, I just said it 3 seconds ago. What am I doing with my life?
Blah, 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 real estate. Yeah.
Oh, real estate. There you go.
Liz, we can see you.
Cost of waiting. Okay, Liz is here. Liz, I was just
Hello.
telling everyone about our new regions. Tell us what region you're coming from.
South Valley.
South Valley. Okay.
Southern Utah County. Yeah, Salem, Elk Ridge, Woodland Hills. Yeah.
She has all the good views, by the
Oh,
way.
yes.
Beautiful down there.
Yes.
Okay, so we're just gonna jump right into this. This is always very informal. Brian, I will go ahead and allow you to share your screen. And then if anyone else joins, we'll give them a quick introduction. Here we go. All right, you have full access. And then as a side note, I am streaming this live on the Brick by Brick real estate page. So if anyone has questions, just go ahead and put it in the comments and then we'll be able to answer them live here on the live Zoom, whatever this is. It's gonna be a minute for me today. So I'm just gonna pass the baton to you, Brian.
It's almost like your face is numb.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah.
Weird.
Huh. Yeah. Okay. Well, Tisha, before we came on, we were talking about interest rates. I thought I'd just do a really quick, because it's kind of a tumultuous topic right now. Anybody can look this up, by the way. This is on the Freddie Mac, which is one of the big agencies that we deal with. And they post a national weekly mortgage rate average. Now, it's not going to apply to you necessarily, but it's a very consistent measure. And it goes back to like 1978, if you really are so inclined. Actually 1970, actually back there. But I'm just going to show you kind of what's been going on lately, because it's been moving around a lot more than we normally see. So I'll just go back real quick here. So if you go back to like the last 3 years, this is back, December of 18, 3 years ago. And you can see where the rates are, or rates were. You can see up here, 4.5, 4.6, 4.8. That's about as high as they were.
Okay.
The last, well, you can go back and look, but the last 10 years or so. That's been the peak. And they were kind of consistently, semi-consistently going down. Here's May of 19, September of 19, January, and so forth, right?
Mhm.
We get into 2020, and the economy was doing very well. It was kind of booming up, and then the rates went down, and they went up again. They kind of cranked up here. Now, what is so significant about March 19, 2020? That's when, I think it's the official start date of the pandemic, really, right? That's when the traffic got really light. And from then on, through a bunch of government action and all this stuff, rates started to really pop down. They really dropped precipitously
Really?
up until kind of the bottom was January 7th of this year. And they've been kind of going up because we kind of learned more about the disease and all that. Kind of went up, then, oh no, it got worse again, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so where we're at right now, let me kind of change our view a little bit. What's been happening lately is we're kind of going down, and this is on a pretty good, you look at the numbers, 2.9, 2.7. So we've been in the twos, right? On a 30-year fixed rate loan. And what happened here, they've kind of gone up and up and up. And lately they had dropped. Let me stretch this in a little bit. Okay, this is over the last several days, again, the last few months. So they had dropped here mainly due to some worries of different COVID variants. So right now, what we have to watch, what's driving rates up is inflation. So inflation is the arch enemy of interest rates. And the government's finally admitting that inflation may be here to stay for a while. And so that's driving rates up. On the other hand, we have COVID fears, which is worldwide, which makes the whole markets and all the markets nervous. When markets get nervous, they flock into the bond markets and drive rates down. So you got the inflation and you got COVID. So COVID might be more friendly than inflation. So kind of think of it that way, looking at it positive. So here's where we're at. Right now, we're kind of in the threes. So we're doing pretty good. But that's just kind of what we're seeing right now. Just kind of give you an idea.
So if, let's say over Christmas time, let's say we learn about a new variant thread and it's better or worse or whatever, but it causes that panic, would it be safe to say that presence would be greater weighing than the way the economy is reacting, to where we could see a dip again? Or is it like, yo, we can't go that low? That was like a one-time deal.
Yeah. I think your last comment is exactly right. I think there's only so low we can go. Anything under 3% really is kind of fake. I mean, it's just government. The Federal Reserve does stuff and all this business. So I don't think that's really possible. I think what's going to happen is we're steadily moving up. Rates are going up. There's really nothing we can do about it other than the occasional panic, which in the old days was wars, attacks and all this stuff. Now it's COVID. So what's that Omicron variant, the one from Africa? That one made the market nervous for a few days. So we'll have to see. But I think we're definitely on an increasing trajectory for sure, but not dramatic. I don't think it's too bad.
Sure. So with us kind of talking about, let me shift over here, just like the cost of waiting and whatnot. Why does anyone give two craps about interest rate? How does that influence and translate over into the cost of purchasing a home versus now versus later?
Yeah, it's a great question. So that's the challenge of when we talk about, do we wait to buy? Do we buy now, or do we wait 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And what's really hard to do is you're guessing a lot of things. Sure. What will this house cost that I'm looking at, this type of home, this townhome or whatever? What will it cost in the future? We can make some relatively educated guesses. How will interest rates affect what my payment's going to be? And the challenge has always been to quantify that, to say, okay, based on some reasonable assumptions, what does it mean to me really? And maybe, and this may, so a lot of times we do these analyses, we'll go through this, but we customize these to every person. So everyone who wants to look and kind of consider this, we customize them to any time period we want to look at. And at least this isn't going to be your deciding factor. It's just going to be a deciding factor, right?
Well, what's interesting too is we do cost of waiting every quarter. So every 3 months, we're re-talking about this topic. So if you go back in the videos and just skip every third one, you're going to be able to see the projections that we made 3 months ago today and see how they stack up or how it's affecting your choices now. And so we're going to do our best guess to kind of look in the rearview mirror to see what's ahead of us in the next 3 months. The reality of it is we don't know, but we can definitely use history and what we've learned to be able to give us a best guess. And so it was interesting because I remember doing these same videos last year and before COVID, before everything, and cost of waiting, we were saying, look, you can wait 6 months, 8 months, and you're fine. And then it transitioned into like, no, everything's on fire, like either sink or swim, right? And so now we're kind of like opening this new chapter. But I just find it so interesting how like the same topics are always evolving. And that's why we want to do these frequently. That's why we want to revisit it. And so the expectation for the interest rate now is way different than it was last quarter. And in reality, if your ability to purchase spans a quarter or a couple of months, that's going to drastically affect your decisions. Versus if your financial makeup makes it to where that goal is a year out, it's not gonna play a huge factor just because you don't have the ability to act on it right now. But understanding how things work can help influence you to where when you are in that situation, you know how to react and how to act. I feel like there's a lot of opportunities missed when you're uneducated because you go in and you're nervous and you're second guessing yourself. So even if you're not able to buy or sell right now, being a part of the conversation, learning what this means, building that foundation is going to help. So that way you don't miss an opportunity just because you have cold feet. You're going to have this foundation of time to kind of build upon. Right.
Yeah. And the more information we can provide, the more information you have in that decision-making process, the easier it is to make that decision. Because a lot of times when we make decisions like this is a huge decision. It's huge, right? But a lot of times we make it emotionally because there's emotions involved in buying a home. There's no doubt about it. But so we try to take as much of that emotion. You're not going to take all the emotion out of it, of course, but we want to quantify as much of that decision-making process as we can. So the way we look at it is this.
Informed decisions are the best decisions.
Yeah, exactly. Not always the best ones. So this is kind of how we look at it. And these, what a lot of people think about when you think, well, if I wait, what will happen? And you think, well, okay, well, the two main questions are, what will this house be worth in the future? A year from now, 6 months from now, 2 years from now, whatever, right? what will that same house, and we're going to start at 450,000. We say, all right, if that house today is $450,000, what's it going to be worth in, say, 6 months, a year, 2 years?
Sure.
That's
You have that graph that you can pull up and walk us through?
right here.
I'm still stuck on the rates screen.
Oh, it didn't switch over? Let's see. You're on the rate thing. Screen sharing is
But on
paused.
business
No.
note, as far as like deciding on an informed decision, all of that, our job here isn't to convince anyone of anything. It's switched now.
Oh, there you go.
Our
Okay.
goal is to be able to provide you with all the information you need to be able to make that educated decision. And so what's right for you isn't going to be right for your neighbor or someone you know. It's unique to you. And when Brian had mentioned before that we can customize these numbers to your experience and where you're at, this really gets into the nitty gritty of what that looks like. And so what house can you afford, what the interest rates look like, what your timelines look like, all these are factors that we can kind of push and pull, and we'll kind of dive into deep to that now. But I really like how Liz made that comment in the sense of, you know, you want to have all the information so you can make a good informed decision.
Right. And so what you can see the cost of waiting now, right?
Yeah, we got it.
Okay,
now.
so let's take, I don't know why this thing just doesn't, it's me. I'll just admit it's me. So the way we look at it is this, and you look at two main things, and then there's things that shoot off from that. So if we think this house right now, home that you're looking at is $450,000, for example, and we know we don't know, we believe homes will appreciate. Denisha, what was the appreciation, or Liz, you know this, what was the appreciation overall last year in Utah?
Oh gosh.
It was like 18 or
A lot.
20.
Yeah.
20, there were certain pockets that were like 30%. Like,
yeah, Bluffdale was like 30. Like South Salt Lake County
high.
was in the it was bumping up against 30%. Utah County, I think, was just barely behind that in most areas. But so the question is, what's going to happen in the future? If you watch a lot of these news stories, you see on the media, we'll do these stories about, you know, a housing bubble and all this. If you watch these closely, they don't know, of course, no one knows, but I believe, and for the best educated guess we can make is that we see home prices still appreciating. The rate of appreciation will slow. It almost mathematically has to. You know, we still have a housing shortage, but it's not as bad as it was, and we have more homes on the market.
Sure.
Right now than we did 6 months ago. Was just brutal, right?
My conversation with people coming into the market right now looking to buy is kind of like, you can let out a deep breath in the sense of, you know, things are still changing, they're still growing, as far as like that number of what homes are worth. But in general, the days on market's going higher. There's less competition on homes. There's still quite a bit of competition. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's a free walk. But we're looking at maybe competing with a handful of offers instead of double digits. And so it's
lowball offer is not going to be accepted, but you might not have to give up your firstborn child.
There you go. Yeah.
Exactly. The sacrifice is less. Yeah. But so what we look at is if we think these numbers here, these percentages right here, we're going to go by a pretty relatively conservative estimate, and we use several different sources, but this is basically what we think is going to happen appreciation wise. This will be wrong, but it should be reasonable, and we want to be more conservative. If we made assumptions on what the home prices will do over the next few years, and we said, okay, it's going to be 15%, 25%, then that makes these results look so horrible and perhaps hopefully unrealistic. I'm hoping, frankly, but so what we're assuming an appreciation for the next year of about 4.26%, give or take, right? So using that number, this $450,000 home in 6 months will cost about $10,000 more, right? $9,400 more. And in a year, that same property theoretically would be about $20,000 more or $19,000 more. So what does that do? Well, it does a couple of things. Of course, assuming the same down payment and all that, it does increase the amount of money you'll need, but not much. That's not a big deal. But you're going to borrow more money, right? Your loan's going to be higher. And then what about interest rates? That's the big one. So I won't go through all these numbers. We'll get too off in the weeds, but the interest rate right now, let's call it 3.25. We're actually a little lower than that, but let's say 3.25 right now. In 6 months, we believe we're going to be at a good 3.5-ish, we think.
Okay.
And it's just going to kind of steadily increase like this, we think, over time. So the next year or so, it should be, next couple of years, probably in the 4s.
Sure.
Which are pretty awesome still, at maybe a little bit conservative, but that's where we think it might be.
I mean, honestly, with COVID and all the things, I look at like 2 years and 3 years and I just like start laughing in the sense of like, we've experienced such dramatic change over the past 12 months, 24 months, that it just makes that unpredictability variable that much higher. But at the same time, I feel like you dictating your goals and your dreams based off of some external factor is ridiculous. And so if it makes sense for you to be able to buy, let's figure out how we can make it happen. If the timing doesn't make sense right now, that's fine. But having like your personal circumstances and other things are also going to be factors that are going to come into play. And with this, we'll kind of get into the weeds a little bit deeper, but just because the prices are going up doesn't mean that you have to make a make or break decision now. At the same time, maybe your income's going up. Can your income keep up with the inflation rate? Like, what are the differences? And that's what this is all about, is kind of having that scale and factoring things that are both on a dollar scale, on an interest rate scale, on a personal scale, to see like where it makes sense, whether that's now, whether that's later, and when later is, and what the risks are that you're also evaluating to make those decisions.
Right. So here's how we take all that and put it together, and so we can make at least this part of it kind of a quantitative amount. In other words, an actual number, put a number to it. So these graphs just show what this is. I'll show you the numbers a little easier to follow. So if you wait 6 months, overall, the difference of waiting, assuming our interest rate creeps up a little bit and the value is higher and you borrow more, you're going to spend about $1,200 per year more, about $102 a month more. And most of that is due to, well, two things are, of course, your loan amount's a little higher and the interest rate's higher. After 1 year, there's your quantitative amount, just your actual amount of what they call annual loss of cash flow. So if you buy this same house in 1 year, based on our assumptions, you'll spend about $1,800 a year more for that same house. And then, of course, in 2 years, it goes up and goes up. So that's really the best way to quantify it. The other thing we can look at as well, and what a lot of people don't kind of think about, is the loss of a property appreciation if it's increased in value. So if you're in the position and it makes sense to buy now this house for $450,000, then you're going to make in appreciation these numbers here, the 9,400, the 19,000, and so forth. Mm-hmm. So in 3 years, if you say, all right, if I stay in rent for 3 years versus buy, in 3 years, this is how much better off I'm going to be.
Sure. And just a quick note, for the state of Utah, our rental rates are very strong and they're supported and they're going up. Like a couple months ago, we did an article that was posted by KSL on just statistically how much rent has increased. And so that's another factor that you got to consider as well, is, okay, from 6 months to 1 year to 3 years, whatever, what is my rental rate going to go up? What is that going to cost me?
Yeah. In fact, we do apartment loans all over the country. My company does. And the one thing they look at when you want to build, do a 200 unit apartment building, you want to get financing for it. One of the things that we look at is what's called the rent coverage ratio, or the debt coverage ratio, which is essentially saying, okay, if this is the value of this apartment building, the rents are here and the value's here, right? Utah has traditionally been quite low rent versus what the value of the property is. And so that's been putting pressure at getting rents up. And we've seen that in the last few months.
Yeah.
Rents have gone up. Because it has to catch up, eventually. And that's what we're seeing. So rents are going up more than we saw in the last couple of years, just in the last few months. So yeah, so that's an issue. But that's basically how we do it. And I do these reports all the time for folks, and this will apply to probably nobody, but we can customize it to exactly where you want to be, what you're looking at right now, and kind of go from there.
Oh, I love it. Liz, do you have any other thoughts or anything that you want to address or talk about?
No, this is great. I think that, based on the interest rates and the monthly payments, I think that's really just what people often forget to look at.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, and as rents go up, you're going to see that the owning becomes much more realistic.
Definitely. So, I mean, all in all, just kind of reviewing this, if I'm thinking, okay, it's December, I don't want to think about doing anything. It's Christmas, right? And so coming into January, February, this new time of season, and typically, if we're looking at history, that's when things start to pick up real estate wise, right? We're getting a lot more busy at that point. So if you're within that 6-month period, the cost of waiting is $13,000. That's not a big number. Like in relative terms, if that's rolled into your mortgage, if you're spending X amount more, I mean, you're probably only feeling that, what, like $30, $50 a month in your mortgage payment? Is that close?
Yeah, pretty close.
Our interest rates aren't going to change a ton, so maybe you're feeling a little bit there. So you're kind of in a good spot, and that's so. I feel like myself just like decompressing and like, oh my gosh, that's so nice to be able to say that. Like,
yeah, you can just take a breath.
6 months, like you're okay, you can breathe, it's okay. You don't have to like rush into anything. I know with coming into a new tax year as well for self-employment, a lot of people are waiting. Oh, I need that second year of taxes. Like you have time. You'll be able to get that. You can file it. And so I think it's nice to kind of be on this warmer front. And I'm going to take advantage of you, Brian, in this public vulnerable moment and see if I can
Wow.
see if I can squeeze something out. So I was thinking about, we're in December, we're at the end of the year. We've had a full year of doing these market analysis. And I'm wondering if you would be willing to go on a journey with me and do a Facebook Live maybe once a week, recapping the year. I really want to go over like all of our costs of waitings and see, and just call our bluff. Like I'm interested to see if we were close or if we were high or low or whatever that looks like.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I'd love to do that. Let's do that.
Let's review. Like I want to do 1 week. Let's dive into cost of waiting of what the year looked like. And now we have the cost of waiting, projecting into the new year. We do forecasting. We have affordability. What's our last one? Rent versus own.
Yeah, rent versus own, right.
Let's take this month. And now that you said yes, and it's recorded, everyone sees it. If it doesn't happen, it's Brian's fault. We'll figure out where he lives.
We can do the best. We can do the best, the year-end retrospective, the best of the Brian Tanisha estimates.
Can we have a blooper reel at the end?
Blooper. Oh, we got everyone's a blooper reel.
That's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's do it. So let's dive deep into that. I know coming into January, we're going to hit forecasting. So like I said, each quarter we're going into these, but let's add an annual review at the end of the year. I like it.
Annual review, I like it.
I would be very interested to hear what you talked about in March of 2020, because I know what I was saying wasn't anything close to what happened.
There's not even after the pandemic became a thing, when traffic cleaned out, right? When that last part of March, where I had to have a letter to permission to go out and drive around. Mm-hmm. Even then, the predictions were horrible. I think we had great predictions, by the way. We nailed it, but everybody else, I don't remember. It was crazy.
I'm just like excited for the opportunity to like laugh at ourselves, to even just like see ourselves in that moment of like, wow, that's what life was like before all this chaos happened. Because at the end of the day, we don't know what next quarter is going to bring. We know what things look like now. We're making the best informed decisions that we can. But we don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be right. Like we're doing what we can within our means. And so I think that takes the pressure off of trying to be perfect or trying to know it all. Because at the end of the day, we're all figuring it out together. So I appreciate you, Liz. I'm so glad you joined us. I'm glad that your region is coming. If anyone is in Salem, Santa Quinn, South Spanish Fork, Liz is your gal. My name's Tanisha again with Brick by Brick Real Estate. Hey, did you hear that? My face is coming back.
She actually said BBB. Did you, brick by brick, did you hear that?
And now I'm just gonna have to like start hashtagging blah 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 for the rest moving forward. But Brian, we appreciate you.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll figure out a time, we'll figure out a schedule, and we'll post it on the Facebook group for Brick by Brick. And then if you're a part of these different regions, go to the Facebook page and look at our groups. So we, like I said, have 10 different regions. So find where you're local to. You have an incredible agent there who's going to be able to give you stats, not only like we're doing this on broad perspective for the state of Utah, right? And so each of these mini pockets are going to give you valuable information for what's going on in your backyard. So really exciting things for 2022. Thanks for everything, and we'll see you guys next week. We'll get this started next week.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Tanisha.
We'll see you.
Okay, thanks. We'll see you guys.
Yeah.
Bye.